What's up, guys? It's JJ, and welcome back to Victory Lane. This episode, we've got a lot of topics to talk about. Most importantly, at the end of the episode, we're going to give a breakdown of how I think this week's ends race at Darlington is going to go. But first, let's start with a little bit of news from last weekend. So, if you were watching the Xfinity race, it was a crash fest at the end. Got rain delayed. It ended up finishing, I think, around midnight, my time, maybe. It was late. Might not have been quite that late, but it was very late. Jeremy Clements ended up winning that race, and it was great to see a small team, a family-owned team, win a race. But we found out on Tuesday, I want to say, that win has been taken away from him. NASCAR, in the teardown process, found something wrong with, I think his intake was too short. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know really a lot about what it is, what that does. I know in Jeremy Clements' statement when I read it, they're claiming that it has no benefit. If anything, it probably would hurt the car's power performance. So we'll see what NASCAR does. I do think they've appealed it. We'll see what the decision is on that. But it is unfortunate to see if it is true that this win is taken away from Jeremy Clements and his family, his team. You know, they've worked really hard for years to field competitive cars. Still don't really have that competitive equipment and cars, but it was great to see him get a win. And, you know, we'll see what happens with the appeal. I believe they're appealing it. If not, you know, it's a very sad thing to see. Jumping over to the Cup Series now. Some big news came out yesterday. Starting this weekend, Bubba Wallace will be in the 45 instead of the 23. I assume Ty Gibbs is going to be in the 23. But Bubba Wallace will be in the 45 for the remainder of the season, which I think basically confirms, you know, Kurt Busch will be out for the remainder of the season. But, you know, 23XI is putting what they call their best driver, at least best driver still available for the season in the car that has the most points and is in the owners playoffs. So we'll see. Gets Bubba some playoff experience, in kind of, not really, but in the owners points at least. He's in the 45 is in the owners points playoffs. You know, nobody really talks about that because it's not that big of a deal. But it's still good for Bubba to be in a car that is still has a little bit of something to kind of strive for. So we'll see how he does. You know, I don't think we'll see any difference from, you know, his 23 to the 45. Same team, same equipment, same everything. So, yeah, Bubba Wallace will be driving the 45 starting this weekend at Darlington in the Southern 500. So now let's transition over to talking about the Southern 500. Well, first, let's talk about the Xfinity race. They'll be racing at Darlington on Saturday. I think it's 2 p.m. Central Time, so 3 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, I love Darlington, especially in the past few years. Darlington has brought us some great racing. I kind of am going to give you my pick for the Xfinity race, just to know what I based it on. It was kind of, for one, I went back and really looked at the spring results, and then just, you know, momentum in a way. So, if you remember back in the spring, Justin Allgaier ended up winning that race. If I remember correctly, Junior Motorsports kind of dominated that race, which they have several times this year. And while I'm not picking Justin to sweep the Darlington races this season, I am picking his teammate who finished second back in the spring. I think Noah Gragson will win this race at Darlington. You know, Noah's always good at multi-group tracks, always good at finding the speed. So, yeah, for the Xfinity Series race at Darlington this weekend, I'm picking Noah Gragson. So, now let's jump over to the more exciting, most important race of the weekend, the Southern 500. Now, like I said, I love Darlington races. I love, especially this night one. I guess it's kind of evening, but it's starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, so 5 p.m. Central Time. Going to be at Darlington in Darlington, South Carolina. A great racetrack, a very unique racetrack. There's no other track that we go to on the schedule that is anything like Darlington. So, yeah, once again, I went back and looked at the spring race and also kind of just how people have been running lately to kind of field my picks. First, I'm going to give you some guys that I think will have good runs. I'm not picking them winning. Wouldn't surprise me if any of these guys win. And I definitely expect a lot of these guys to be up towards the front. Joey Logano, he won the spring race, so obviously he has to be one of the favorites coming into Sunday. Tyler Reddick finished second. One of the first races this season where he really showed that speed. He really looked like a contender in that race, and so it kind of got people thinking, maybe Tyler Reddick could be somebody to watch out for this season. Kevin Harvick finished fourth. That was one of his only good runs until probably 3-4 weeks ago whenever he won at Michigan. So Kevin Harvick, somebody I think you should look out for. The Toyotas were not strong in the spring, but the Toyotas as a whole at all tracks had not hit their stride at this point yet in the spring, kind of like they have now. So I look for them to be better. Do I think they will compete? I don't know. I really don't. I think Christopher Bell was the highest finishing Toyota in the top 10 somewhere, lower top 10. So, yeah, let's go to my pick for this race. Call me biased if you want, but I'm picking Chase Elliott this weekend. He is always been fast at Darlington. He's been close to winning so many times at Darlington. I can remember, during COVID when they were racing in the middle of the week, Darlington was just, an iconic moment between Chase and Kyle Busch. I think Chase finally does get that Darlington win. And, yeah, so I have Chase Elliott winning at Darlington. I kind of might have talked myself out of picking him. Well, I'm not going to spoil that. So, also, if you haven't, go watch our last episode of Victory Lane. It was my playoff predictions. Kind of just spoiled it a little bit there, but not really. So if you haven't, make sure you go watch that. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, we have great shows coming out almost every day. So my socials will be down below. The Next Topic Media, you can see it on the screen. All of our socials, of course, you're on the YouTube channel, but the Next Topic Sports TikTok and the Instagram. And yeah, so Victory Lane will be coming at you twice a week from here on out through the end of the season. So we'll see you Monday after the Southern 500 for our kind of race recap video. See you then.